most people love pets of at least some kind. Vegans are sometimes asked if they think it's wrong to have pets. Well, the answer isn't as simple as a yes or no. It depends. Most vegans do have pets, as do I. However, many vegans prefer to call pets a companion animal, friend, child, etc. The nature of having a companion animal is inherently a dominance and power position. We have so much control over their lives. We choose where they live, who they live with, when or if they get to go out of the house or their cage, when they're separated from their parents, siblings, or friends. The fact that we keep dogs on leashes or try to make sure the animal doesn't escape the cage is evidence of this power dynamic. People call someone with a companion animal an owner. But there's problems with seeing an animal as being owned as if there are commodities, which is why buying an animal, even from the best breeder, is still problematic. A common argument is that we help them by feeding them and keeping them safe from predators. But this argument ignores two things. The animals didn't agree to trade in their freedom for safety. If this was a freely made choice, that would be a valid argument. And it also ignores that in a way, humans can be like predators to companion animals. Many people with animals abuse them. There's no way for pet stores or a breeder to guarantee that this will not happen with the animals they sell to people. And many breeders are abusive themselves. Animals in pet stores come from neglectful mass breeding facilities. Many shelters kill the animals they don't have room for. Millions of healthy animals every year. This is humans doing. We have loved our pets to death. The vast majority of animals in pet stores are supplied by mass breeders, and this footage is some examples of those.
Frozen alive, ripped to shreds, thrown around, gassed by the dozens. This is what PDUS found when an eyewitness went inside an animal mill that supplies Petco and PetSmart stores. Thousands of animals were crammed into bins or wire-floored cages before eventually being shipped to pet stores throughout the eastern United States. Petco, PetSmart, and other stores returned unwanted, sick, and injured animals back to the dealer, including this sick guinea pig named Elvis by the eyewitness. A few days later, Elvis was dead.
Alright, getting an animal from a pet store is cruel, but what about a breeder? I mean a really good breeder, not a bad backyard breeder. Well, this comes down to a few things. Supporting a breeder supports commodifying animals, and this always ends up coming with a cost. When it comes to dogs, the rampant inbreeding of purebred dogs has led to many, often severe health problems. This is most pronounced in breeds like the bulldog or the pug, where their anatomy literally makes it hard for them to breathe. This wasn't done out of love for animals or concern in their best interests. We've manipulated their genetics to better suit our desires at a cost to them. This animal will struggle to breed their whole life, but they'll be really cute. But that alone isn't the issue. More companion animals are unnecessarily being created when you support a breeder. Due to supply and demand, this will lead to more that are neglected, abused, relinquished, or killed in shelters, even if you yourself do none of these awful things. It creates more animals that don't get as much say in their lives. There are already many animals that need to be adopted. Many animals abused and neglected that you could get instead. Getting an animal from a breeder is unnecessary. Most pets can be found as a rescue, not just dogs and cats. You can search on Pet Finder for multiple different animals, like dogs, cats, small furry animals, reptiles and amphibians, fish, horses, pigs, and other farmed animals. You can set how far you're willing to travel, ages, gender, and breed. You can search online for a rescue near you that has the animal you want to adopt. You can look on Craigslist for animals that need to be rehomed, but verify to make sure the person isn't a backyard breeder. I have 5 rats that I got from a rat rescue, but if you can't find the animal you want as a rescue, simply don't get one. For example, I was interested in a sugar glider. There's no sugar glider rescues in my area, so I will not get a sugar glider unless I ever decide to drive multiple states away to get a rescue. I will never succumb to getting one from a breeder, because this affects the animal's life and isn't just about my personal desires. But I love animals, and my animals love me. How dare you say I'm hurting animals because I went to a pet store or a breeder? I'm sure you do love your animals, and they do love their person, which is why you should only opt to rescue animals. If an animal is a rescue or shelter animal, there's no other option for that animal than to have a human caretaker. So the most moral thing we can do for that animal is to have somebody to keep them alive, since their domestication means they can't do it on their own. In this case, it's helping and often literally saving the life of an animal. And this alone is the only situation in which it is okay to keep a companion animal, when they're in need of a human caretaker. Beyond this situation, a non-human would have to create a friendship with a human freely of their own accord. There's plenty of cases where people have made friends with wild animals, but with the animal having a say in this. I think there's nothing wrong with enjoying a companion animal, deriving pleasure from their company, or wanting to adopt an animal. If you have a companion animal, you probably should like your pet and socialize with them. The problem is treating them as a commodity. Is having a companion animal only benefiting you, or the animal as well? Do you see them and treat them as if you're an owner to them, or as a parent to them? My rescued rats are my adopted animal children, who I would let have total freedom if doing so was safe and possible. Companion animals are not a toy. Give your dog walks, let the animal free roam your house when this is an option, and research if it is an option rather than assuming it isn't. And at the worst resort that you absolutely must put an animal in a cage, provide them with the largest cage you can find. If you really respect the animal, there should be no, this cage is big enough, they're small, it doesn't matter. This also applies to fish. Fish should never be living in a bowl. They need large tanks to be at all healthy and happy. Put yourself in their shoes. This is where they live their entire lives. They don't get to come out and go elsewhere whenever they please. They deserve more space. It's not just about the bare minimum to keep them alive. Care not only for their physical health, but their mental health. If you've bought an animal before rather than adopting, please just decide not to do so again in the future. Please put aside defensiveness for a moment. This is a life you're caring for, a life you're buying. This isn't just about us. Your next animal can be a rescue.